Alright, we have roots, unit 5 notes. So our first root this week is loc loco. And loc loco means place. Even though in Spanish it means like crazy, in Latin it means place. And some words that you might, well, we'll start with the word locate. Okay, so if you locate something, you're finding its place. And if you relocate, you're putting something back into place again. We have the word, or the noun form, location, which is a place. That's the place that something happens. Um, locomotion, so, or like a locomotive, like a train, is something that can move from place to place. And then I'm going to give you one more word here, and this one is kind of a difficult word, but it's a word you'll hear in the world. So this word is allocate. And to allocate something means to put it into a place. Like a budget might allocate a certain amount of money for going out to eat or for paying bills. It's allocated. It's put into a certain place for a certain purpose. Like there's even money in the school system that's allocated for each student in the public school system. So go ahead and pause the tape or pause the video and put in a sketch to help you remember that loc loco means place. Alright, logoology. You've probably used ology a lot, like in biology or geology, and that part means study. But the full meaning of logoology, this one has three, is word, study, or speech. Okay, word, study, speech. And there's lots of words. We'll start with the LOG. So we have the word like logic. And logic really means using the rules of speech and reason. So thinking and reason and studying is logic. And then you can describe something as being logical. I can't type. But it can be logical if it's an adjective describing something that follows logic and reason. You have the ologies. We talked about biology, which would be study of life, geology, which would be study of the earth, so rocks and minerals and things like that. And then this is another root we haven't studied before, but psych means the heart or mind. So you have psychology of the study of the mind or the sort of like soul. Then we have some words that you might read in books. So the prologue. Pro, like we've discussed, means moving forward. So like if you move professionally into a career, you're moving forward in your career. Prologue are the words or speech that comes before the main story. It like leads into the main story. And then sometimes you'll find an epilogue. An epi, that prefix means on or upon. So this is words or a speech that is added on or upon the end of a book. So it'll kind of tell you where everyone ended up and things like that. And then there's a fun word here. This one, oh, I have to figure out how to spell it here. Logorrhea. I think I need another R there. There we go. Logorrhea, just like what it sounds like. It kind of sounds, rhea, I guess, is a root that means run. So this is when your words run. Having logorrhea means you have sort of diarrhea of the mouth. Number 3, loquolocute is a really fun root. Loquolocute means speak or talk, speak. And some of the words that go with this, okay, so if somebody has logorrhea, they might be described in a more kind way as being loquacious. Loquacious just means talkative, and I'm going to write that right in there because it's a good one. Loquacious means talkative, somebody who just talks a lot. I can spell it right. Another word might be elocution, and this is public speaking. So when you guys gave your how-to speeches, you were practicing elocution. You can describe somebody who's good at elocution as being eloquent. That means like they speak well or they speak beautifully. Sometimes a character in a play, in a drama, might go on stage and give a soliloquy. And a soliloquy is just a solo a speech that they give on stage alone. Using another prefix, co, we sometimes have colloquialisms. Colloquialisms are things that people speak when they're together. So like the way that people use slang or informal language in their groups. And then I think I'll tell you about this other cool word. This word is circumlocution. And this means like indirect language, but circum means in a circular manner. So it's speaking in a circle. So if somebody asks you a question and you don't give them a straight answer, you might be engaging in circumlocution, kind of talking around the truth. The next one is loose lumen, and this means light, but not light like Levis, lightweight, but this is light like in bright or radiant. I use another vocab word there. So, loose lumen, a lumen, just in science, is a measurement of light, and you can describe something that is glowing as luminous. If you shine a light on something, you're said to illuminate it. That means to make something bright. And then we can look at some of the ones with LUC also. For one thing, we could take like translucent. Trans means across or through, and translucent, something that's translucent lets light through it. So like if you hung a white gauzy material in a window, the sun would still come through it. You couldn't see through it, but it would be translucent. All right, number 5, magna means great. And this is like great as in size, I guess, mainly. So if you magnify something, or you're using a magnifying glass, it's something you're using to make something greater in size, making it larger. If you talk about an earthquake, you might say, oh, what was the magnitude of that earthquake? What was the measurement of its greatness or size? And you can also be magnanimous. That's a good word. Magna means great, and anim, A-N-I-M, we didn't study that one, but that root means spirit, like an animal. So being magnanimous means being great of spirit. I'm going to write that down because it's good to know. And like a synonym might be really generous. I'll put that in parentheses so you don't get confused. And then moving on to number 6. Man means hand. So if you do something manually, you do it by hand. If there's a manual pencil sharpener, that describes something that you operate it with your hand, not with electricity. Or if you do manual labor, that's labor that you do by hand, like digging a hole, like in holes or in small steps. He's doing manual labor when he's digging a trench. Similarly, if you make something by hand, you're manufacturing it. Anything that's used like a handcuff could be called a manacle if it goes around your hands. And if you go in to have care for your hands, you might get a manicure. All right. Moving on to number 7. Now, manned, the meaning of the root is actually, it has the root in it. So the meaning of manned is command. And the word command is one that has it. Also demand, like if you make a demand, it's like you're commanding something to get done. If you have to do something, it's called mandatory. And you can move on here to mar, mari, marry. Number 8, and that means sea or pool. We live in a marine area. There's a marina. That's where the boats come in out of the sea. Mermaids or mermen are people of the sea, maids and men of the sea. We sometimes talk about a maritime climate or marine. Oh, sorry. I almost put marine in there twice. But anyway, so these words all have something to do with sea or pool. All right, number 9 is medi, and medi means half. So if you have even just the word medium, that means kind of like halfway between small and large. It's a halfway point. You can mediate, and this is different from meditating. There's no extra T in there, but mediate means when you come into the middle of a disagreement and you sort of help people work it out. You're halfway between both sides. For Medi, we can talk about the medieval time. MEDI helps you remember, okay, well, that's like the Middle Ages, the half ages, and then EVAL is how you add to that. So medieval means like the Middle Ages. And we can talk about the Mediterranean Sea, which means terra. This root right here, terra, that means land or earth. So this is a sea that is halfway between two continents, between Europe and between Africa. Last one is mem, and mem is another one of those roots where the root is in its meaning, so it means remember. And we have things like the word remember, and then also memory. If you write a story about your memories, you might be writing a memoir. You might write a memo, which is short for a word called a memorandum, which just means a note to help you remember something. And you might go to a memorial service to remember somebody or something or an event. And you might make or take a memento of that. So lots of words with mem in it, meaning remember. Hopefully you were able to get enough words on all of these for Unit 5, and you were able to understand me even though my throat is scratchy, and you were able to do a sketch for each root as you went through. All right, thanks.